Hey, me again, Joe from Boulet's Garage. So we're talking about this whole automotive technician shortage thing across the country, perhaps the world. Um, I'll get to my point here, but so I've been doing this for 40 years, and there's a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to try and keep these videos 10 minutes or under. It might be a little more. So I started at the dealership as I mentioned at the first video. I worked there for about a year before they let me even do an oil change. So about finally I was able to work on cars there. It was straight time. What I mean is that you punched in at 8 in the morning, punched out at lunch, punched back in after lunch, and out at 5. So I worked that way, straight time for about 3 years. And as time went on, something happened one day. One Friday, it was payday. The office manager came out. She had the checks. She handed them to each of us, as she normally does. But she told us something different this time. She said, you might want to wait till 3 o'clock before you deposit or cash these checks. It's like, okay, that's not a good sign. And as time went by, it was maybe a couple weeks after that, maybe sooner, but we had a mandatory meeting over at the GM dealership. The owner of Honda owned a Buick, Cadillac, Pontiac dealership, and we're all summoned to go over there. We're standing out in the big shop, and there was a big circle of us there, and the owner came out. He had a cup of coffee. His hands were shaking like this. He was spilling coffee on his hand. He was clearly nervous. I kind of felt bad for him in a way, but we really didn't know what was going on at that point. So he didn't waste a lot of time. He said, I'm introducing a 15% pay cut for all employees starting tomorrow. So I think I was making like a little over $9 an hour. I was brought down to $7.86 an hour. A number stuck with my head all these years. Go figure. Anyway, so morale was in the crapper. Nobody really wanted to work. Production was way down. We didn't know if the place was going to close. We didn't know what was going to go on. And somebody had mentioned, the writing was on the wall, that we were going to go flat rate. And a lot of us were petrified of going flat rate because what do we have heard about it? It's cutthroat. You're going to lose your ass, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, long story short, we went flat rate. And there was two guys that always kind of suffered. They weren't very fast movers. If you're flat rate, you gotta move. You gotta keep a car in your bay if you want to get paid. So those two guys left. They were further down the road replaced, but I was killing the flat rate. I was doing great. I continued to work the following 4 years, so I had a total of 7 years there, and all of a sudden there was another word of a rumor actually out there that we were going to have the dealership sold. The Honda dealership was going to be sold, and to this day I can't figure out why he sold Honda. He had taken on Mitsubishi and he sold Honda. I don't know, but Honda was the moneymaker there. It was a product that was going somewhere. So the new owner was building a new dealership for us. It was a 6-bay shop. There was the 4 of us working there, so we had a bay and a half to work with each other. There was a small showroom out front. Parts had their own section. Small inventory downstairs. The rest of it was upstairs. So anyway, one other tech, the guy who was working on Mitsubishis, he decided to go with Honda along with me as a tech because Mitsubishi was smack dab right in the middle of an automatic transmission recall, and he wanted no more of that. So he moved down there. So there was 2 other techs that came in. We worked together for about a total of 10 years. There's things that happened, with flat rate and pay and warranty work and all that. Everybody whined about to a certain degree. But we ended up about midway, we were doing really good. We were getting first fixed it right first time. awards, continually year after year. And one year we got the President's Award, and it was mostly because of what the service department was putting out and doing and accomplishing. But as a whole, the sales department had a good year, parts department had a good year, so we won the President's Award. And I'll never forget the day the general manager came out with these little pins that said President's Award. He goes, "Congratulations, you won the President's Award." So, okay. And that's basically what we got. What we got was a pin. There was nothing in our checks, nothing like that. The manager's got a all expense paid trip to Colorado, ski trip. So, but we just kept working away, and it was about 10 years into that. 10 years, yeah, about 10 years. The owner was going to build a full-size Honda dealership. And we were kind of excited about it. A brand new shop, big shop. We'd have room to breathe. You didn't have to go outside to think anymore. And so they projected a 25% increase in work as soon as they opened the door. So that would mean, all right, they're going to hire one tech. No, they hired 3, and that work did not come in. We were slower than ever to start off. All kinds of things happened between. I'm trying to shorten this story up. Anyway, so they hire 3 techs, all right, and they're young guys, and they know enough to, do the easy stuff, the brakes, exhaust, the stuff that we made money on, and they used to normally dispatch that fairly. All right, you had enough warranty work, here's some brakes for you, and so it was balanced out. But once we get over there, we were getting more and more of the warranty work, electrical problems, the stuff you couldn't really make money on flat rate, And we talked earlier about, flat rate and how you got paid with flat rate. And for those of you who don't understand flat rate, let's say you got 1 hour to replace a set of brake pads. Your 1 hourly rate, 1 hour. So say it took you an hour and a half to replace the brake pads, you would only get paid that 1 hour. If it took you 30 minutes, you'd get paid the whole hour. You get my drift? If you had a 3-hour job, you got it done in an hour and a half, you get 3 hours. If you spent 4 hours, you'd still only get paid 3 hours. So you had to move, you had to hustle, you had to be good. So anyway, as time went on, I realized every night I'd be going home and I'd be complaining about my day. And my wife at the time, now ex-wife, said, if you don't find something else to do, you're going to either have a heart attack or a stroke or even a nervous breakdown. And I think she was right. So I took a job at an independent up the road south of the dealership. And, the guy was a nice guy that owned the business. I took him for face value, but immediately the first day I started there, I found out there was no hot running water. When it rained really hard, the rainwater leaked in and filled the whole front of the shop up with water. The back shop, I found out when fall came around, the heat didn't work. There was supposed to be radiant heat in that concrete slab. Well, there were 2 nylon tubes sticking out of it. There was no heat source hooked up to it. So anyway, I found that out. I worked there for about a year. I learned a lot about how to run a business and how not to run a business. So work kind of dried up, and they laid me off. And there were 2 other guys that worked there that had seniority over me. So I took it as a blessing in disguise. Went back north into Keene, and I worked at another independent, which they had like 8 technicians there. It was a little more organized. The owner was a great guy. He still is a great guy. But he had he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, definitely. So in that, I was basically told I would work on basically Asian stuff like Hondas and Toyotas, what I'm comfortable with, and I was not getting that. I was getting stuff that I wasn't comfortable working on, and I made money, but it wasn't really flat rate. They had an incentive plan there, but it was kind of a joke. So towards the end of my working there, it was around 2011, 2012. I came out with a book called If That Car Could Talk, How to Locate and Maintain a Good Used Car. the book is still available. That book brought a lot to me. I did radio spots locally in the Keene area, Keene, New Hampshire area. I got on Chronicle with it. It brought a lot of things my way that I didn't expect it to. Did it sell 1 million copies? No, it did not. I'm still twisting wrenches. However, you can help me by buying a copy. But anyway, so there was, I don't know, I want to call it jealousy. There was a lot of, I was preoccupied with a lot of stuff. I was probably on my cell phone more than I should have been. But there were other guys doing the same thing, you know. And there was a lot more there. But I got laid off. And for the first time in my life, I collected unemployment for 6 months. And I went back to every dealership, every independent in the area. I revisited Hondas, thought about going back there. Everybody that I talked to just basically looked through me, except for the exception of a few independent shops. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't play that game anymore. I just cannot do it. And, I spent a lot of time with my daughter. We built a chicken coop together. We built snow forts. We spent a lot of time together. It was really great. It was a really good side to it. But I was kind of running out of time, and the shop I'm in right now, I decided to start my own business. I took $12,000 of my own money, and I invested in it. And it was a shop that closed. It was a transmission shop for 20 years, and it just so happened I went in and did an unemployment search, and the guy that owned the transmission place, he's now deceased, nice guy, Pat, and he said, you ought to look into this place. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'm done. I'm retiring. A couple weeks. I'm like, okay. So I reached out to the owners of the place, and here I am, my 12th year, working by myself. People ask me, wow, that must be scary working by yourself. No, it's wonderful. I don't have to listen to 3 different radio stations. I talk with a customer. There's no BS. This is what your car needs. This is what it doesn't need. People come to me a lot. They go elsewhere. I need this. No, you don't. Not now. You will someday, but you don't need it now. But I've got a really good customer base, really loyal customer base. People ask me how I do it. I said, I work on 1 car at a time. Well, you don't have a lot of cars in your lot. Exactly. I'm not going to jam my car lot full of cars that I'll never get to, junkers that sit there for a long time. I'm not doing that. And the other thing I don't do, too, is work on stuff that's not worth working on. I know some people, they have no other choice, but I'm not going to put a transmission in the car that has holes in the floorboards. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking somebody's money like that. They need to take their money and put it towards a better car. But anyway, I'm going to continue on with this story in the next episode here, maybe in the next couple days. And I'm going to try and get away from the cell phone and back to a regular computer. I had a movie maker program on my old computer, which was free from Microsoft, and now they no longer have it available as a Windows movie maker. And if anybody out there can recommend a decent free movie maker program, put it in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, be kind to yourself and kind to others, and I'll see you next time around. Okay? Have a good night.